6 months.
Yes.
No, it's really like it happened just like you said.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I wasn't
It does.
I couldn't hear it.
We don't, and we don't realize that whether we realize this or not, we are alive in the word. The purpose of figuring this out means that we entered a covenant. That
Hmm.
covenant, let us make mankind, doesn't say mankind, it says man, but you might as well say mankind, in our image. And that is the most profound statement in the world, because that means the world that you exist in is made of your experience, your body of experience. So what you are seeing, everything that you see outside, is your experience made into new patterns to create new bodies. But all of those bodies are you. So although it is true you are not the body, you are also, if it's in your reality, those bodies don't exist without you.
Right, because
The
otherwise,
paradox.
well, in other words, like when you leave the plane,
Yes,
then like you're in a different reality.
you are. You're in a very different reality. And we can leave the plane without dying, though. We can astral project. I've been able to do this since I was a child.
Oh, really? Okay.
My children can too. We astral project, so we can leave our body all the time and prove this to ourselves. The catch is we have to remember we're doing it unconsciously. We have to become aware that we can do it consciously.
So yeah. So in other words, like that's a whole nother world. I mean, people walking
It
down the
is.
street projecting, oh, I bump it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you, you know.
Yes.
That would be, rather than having gangs and social strife and all that stuff, my God.
Yes. Yes. What the world doesn't know is that as soon as we cultivate peace within ourselves,
Yeah.
true peace within ourselves, then that peace is then magnified outside of us. But if we're facing the wrong way and we're looking out there and finding fault in the world, what we are judging is not the outside world, but our neural representation of what we think the world is. And then that cements in our illusion. So we're upholding it. Does
You
that make
know,
sense?
yeah, I got you on that. I was
Yeah.
thinking, especially people in my tribe, we've been oppressed. You know,
Yes.
we think that we were brought here as slaves and all this kind of falderall. And I
Mm-hmm.
say, well, you have to give it up.
But every culture has,
Yes,
whether we realize it or not, every culture, mine too. Mine being a native to its country and having Spaniards invade and decide that now we're going to speak Spanish and now your culture is going to go away and now you're going to be,
right,
Christians.
right,
Same,
right.
same, same
And, and,
story.
and if you don't want to do it, we'll kill you.
Yes, yes.
We're going to
And
make you.
before us, it was Greeks. Before the Greeks, Jews, whatever. It's always someone.
Okay, so that's the case. What is it in the human psyche that causes this oppression?
That's an easy one. Yeah, what
Oh,
causes us to do that to one
what,
another? So
what's that?
here's the catch, the major story, or how we get off the karmic wheel. First and foremost, remember that covenant. Let us make mankind in our image. So the only thing we're seeing on the screen of time and space is our experience being magnified out into different forms. So it is our body. So if we don't realize that what we see outside is our creation,
Yes.
then so that's part of it. So the ego itself, or our body identification, doesn't want to associate with having guilt of its creation. Like, it's kind of like you're so upset because there's a messy room, but you've forgotten you're the only one that lives in the room, right? So it's
Right. Right.
it would only be messy because of you, but you don't want to face that. There's got to be somebody else
Oh yeah,
responsible,
yeah.
right?
He did it. He did it.
Yeah, yes. And so our ego takes advantage of that moment. It's a temporary moment, and it takes advantage of that and then allows us to project our guilt outward. It allows us to make our story real and then project it outward so that we have someone else to blame. And that
Okay,
is inherently true of everyone until we realize that we're fighting with our own shadow.
so if that's true, we have two avatars. We have um, Gandhi. We have Martin Luther King. Both of
Yes.
these guys were like the nonviolent guys, right?
Yes.
No. Now Gandhi never got beat up, but his people did. You know.
Yes.
Same thing with Martin
Yes.
Luther King. He never got beat, but his people did. So
Yes,
they're spearheading
absolutely.
this, like, we're not nonviolent. You can beat us up, but like, we're not going to strike back.
Yes.
I mean, like, what's that all about?
Because at this point in our awareness, we don't fear death.
Okay.
You have to have almost Jesus Christ type faith, and this is the part of the story that once we become aware of that, we don't fear death. So we're willing to carry our message all the way until the death, if that's so to speak, but we fear it not because we know our life goes on. And so
Okay.
so we have zero fear when it comes to that. Martin Luther King probably stood in the front lines as everyone was rioting just to get people to calm down. He could have been killed in any of those situations, and yet his faith carried him through because his purpose was more important.
Right. Right. That's the way it reads in the papers.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's a backstory,
Hmm. Hmm.
which wasn't that story.
Yes, yes,
He was protected.
yes, yes.
So now but again, like we have in our world today, people are just